Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Gator Game Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby, and I'm joined with my co-hosts, Lucas and Darryl tonight. And we are also joined by a special guest. Moose is in the house with us tonight. How you guys doing?
I'm
Good.
pissed off. I'm ready to talk about the stupid Georgia game.
Oh, yes, a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about in this game because Florida loses to Georgia in a 34-7 fashion. So, but those of y'all who are watching, make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel that is in the comments. I actually remembered to put it there this time. So make sure we get the YouTube channel, subscribe to that. And as you are watching, if you want to make a comment, feel free to make a comment. But make sure you go to the link in the description and make sure we are able to see your name and we can address you by comment. But Florida comes into Jacksonville and really just kind of want to get back into winning ways after losing heartbreak fashion to LSU, have the bye week and get ready, and then Florida comes into this game and Anthony Richardson gets his first career start. And the defense, we had questions about them on how they would perform, and they played pretty good. But we'll get into all of that and more. But we're going to start at the beginning of the game, where with Anthony Richardson getting the first start. And Moose, I'm going to start with you. How did you feel about AR-15 getting his first career start against the number one defense in the nation?
Well, initially, Bobby, I liked the move when it came out. Going planning on going against the number one team in the country, you kind of needed potential boosts on offense. You felt like at the time AR-15 was probably the best choice. However, as the game came along, that Georgia defense, they're better than what I thought. I knew they were good, Bobby, man, but they're very very good. They're very physical. They're very smart. They're relentless. And I think AR-15 he got rattled. And that was obvious before this, right before the second half, the 21-point turnaround. There. I thought all in all, he looked like a freshman. But I gotta give credit to Georgia's defense, man. Them guys, they play very well. That's a great group over there.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, they're number one, and they only allow after the Florida game they allow 6.6 points per game, which is incredible to say that you're playing in the SEC and this is a full 2021 season, and they're putting up just great leading in almost every major category. So it's hard to say that Anthony Richardson is going to start this game against the number one defense.
That's what happens when you recruit number one classes year after year.
Yeah, so Anthony Richardson coming into this game, I felt it was the right move to start AR-15. But like I said in the previous podcast, that I don't think that they should, AR should get the start, but I believe Emory Jones should still play. Like, how, when we'd have the games where EJ would play like 3 drives and then they'd bring AR-15 out. Well, they kind of really didn't do that this game. He just kind of let AR-15 have the show, and I believe that was, in my personal opinion, I believe it was like a shot at at the fans of, okay, y'all wanted to see AR-15. I'm gonna put AR-15 out there, and y'all are gonna see why he isn't ready yet. That's just kind of how I looked at it. But in that same breath, I feel that these are reps that he needed. These are reps that he's going to learn from. He is a freshman. He is playing the number one team in the nation. So I mean, it's how it could go. And I just feel like Emory Jones should have came in the game a little sooner than what he did. But Darryl, how did you feel about AR-15 and his start?
I mean, freshman mistakes, of course. Look, we all expected this. This was nothing new. Everybody thought that AR was going to come in and just blow out the number one defense in the country. You got to be crazy. Look, I wanted him to start too. But at the end of the day, AR is, you can see where the limitations are. There is still some limitations in the knowledge of the football game, and you're going to make some mistakes. You take 3 minutes out of this football game, it's 3-0 going into the halftime. So, the kid made some mistakes. I mean, it is what it is. Do I continue playing him the rest of the year? Me personally, no, I don't. I play Emery, and I have my own personal take on that. But I play Emery only because I want to save AR for the future. He is the future of the Florida Gators, and he's going to be a talented player.
Don't forget Nick Evers. We got Nick Evers coming in next year. So
Yeah, we got talented guys coming in. I'm just saying I wouldn't play him. I would sit him out. Let Emery play. It's the season, and we're playing for a bowl game at this point. And I have my own take on that. You're going to lose the red shirt freshman if you keep playing him. He's got one more eligible game. So which game do you want him to play? Maybe the Florida State game. I mean that one kind of matters because it's an in-state rivalry.
Right.
But you got one more, so you better pick one, or you're going to lose the whole year of eligibility.
Go ahead, Moose. You seem like you have a lot on your mind right now.
I one thing I have to say, I thought Emery when he did come in the second half, the game was a little out of reach. Obviously, I feel like he maintained. I got to give a shout out to Emery, man. Like he seemed pretty composed, man. And I know we're fans, but he came in, and he saved a big streak for us, man. A scoring streak. I'm sure you guys are very well aware of.
1988 was the last time we were shut out.
Yeah. I don't know where we offensively. I'm kind of on the fence. I'm kind of more on the fence with AR the rest of the year, Darryl.
Okay.
I don't know. It just, he was thrown to the wolves. He was thrown to the. Oh, go ahead, Lucas.
I think you play AR the rest of the year. Here's why: you want to get him reps and get him.
Okay. So you gain him reps for the rest of the year. You got 3 more years after that. So do you lose it now, or do you? I mean, I'm just asking because I don't know. I mean, I love AR. AR is the most talented quarterback on the field by far.
Darryl, here's my thing. I don't think AR is a 4-year guy.
No, he probably not.
I don't think me personally, I don't think he is. I mean, listen, he had a rough start.
Yeah.
But let's not forget, man, he went up against they're calling it one of the best defenses in the last 20 years here.
By far.
I think AR, man, is the guy's got a lot of, he brings so much to the table offensively. He just, going back to AR, I'll say this, man. Watching that game Saturday, I mean, if you compare last year's offense to this year's, guys may disagree, man. I don't think we have playmakers like we do last year.
No.
Where's our Tony? We don't have a Tony.
No, we don't.
We definitely don't have a unicorn in Pitts.
We lost over 2,000 yards of offense last year to the NFL.
Right. So I feel like our receiving core, man, I know we got some older guys and we got some younger guys, man. The bottom line is they got to execute a little bit more too.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I guess it's just it's what you take, right? It's what you take.
Yeah, right.
You either take the future of the young guys and you say, okay, this is it. We got 3 years. Give me what you got right now, or you build for the later on. But I agree. AR is by far the most talented quarterback. I mean, I think, EJ brings a little bit more understanding of the offense, of scheme of things, and we could kind of tell that a little bit with the Georgia game. And this was a 3-0 game, considering the last 3 minutes of that second quarter. So, I mean, AR did play a pretty good game. We actually ended up we had more yards than Georgia because they had 3 freaking drives in the red zone, basically. But yeah, no, I agree. AR is by far the most talented quarterback on the field.
let me ask y'all this, because this is a question that I think is a really good one. In similar ways, not exact ways, don't take it out of proportion. How you had Chris Leak, Tim Tebow, where kind of Tim Tebow or Chris Leak being in the game, he gave a different dynamic. Well, with EJ and Anthony, they have a lot of similarities, but I think with Emory Jones in the game, he plays a little more conservative, in the game than AR-15 does. So what I'm saying is, do you think that having Emory start the game, and his conservative play, do you think that kind of opens up the defense when you kind of have a moment to where you can put AR-15 there and get those explosive plays? I mean, I think he's a big setup to EJ.
Yes, I agree with that. I mean, if you watch the game, it's obvious that Anthony Richards is more explosive, but but by the same token, it's also obvious that EJ knows more of the playbook. So as Darryl said, which way do you go? Do you go with the guy who knows the playbook, or do you go with the future?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what
The
I'm not a mind reader, but if it was me, I would go with the future because let's face it, our season is shot.
I mean, I'm with. Look, I'm happy either way, guys. I'm happy either way. I'm just putting out the point of, if you continue to play AR, he's got one more game. If you continue to play him, you lose an entire season with him. But like you said, you don't think he's a 4-year guy or even a 5-year guy. So maybe he doesn't. I don't know. You're correct,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot of talent coming behind him. Lucas, who's coming behind these next two quarterbacks? Who's coming behind them?
Nick Evers and
What's the other guy? Need
Del
something?
Rio, Del Rio, Carlos.
Okay, so we got some really good quarterbacks
Carlos Del
coming, right? I
Rio
mean,
and Nick Evers.
Yeah,
okay,
and Nick
so
Evers.
we do have
If
good
it was
guys. I guess
me,
you just what you got what you gonna live with. Are you willing to say in the next 3 years one of them guys are going to be ready? I mean, I would sure hope so. I would hope so
Right.
they would be, but that's what you got to live with. Right now we're playing for a marginal bowl game, and if we win out, you're looking at a 9-4 season. So yeah, I mean, it's just what you want. I mean, what do you want?
I'll take
Um,
9-4 if as long as we beat Florida State because that's the only game that matters. I mean,
I do think
they
he
all
plays the
matter,
Florida
but
State game for sure.
Right.
I think you continue to do what you've been doing prior to this game, starting Emory Jones and then bringing AR-15, in the game. Moose, you bring up a great point. I don't think he's a 4-year guy to begin with. I think his upside is really good. Getting into the offseason next year, whole spring, whole fall, getting to know the playbook and all of that. I think
Right.
AR-15 is going to be, he's going to be a great player. We seen him make some great, phenomenal plays, especially against LSU. That 33-yard pass, down the field I think it was to Copeland. That was a huge play because of how windy it was, and people don't even take into account for that. But I mean, I just feel like with Emory in the game, he opens up a big play for Anthony Richardson to make. But Darryl, you make a great point as well. These are as we've said, college students, and we need to support Dan Mullen, the quarterbacks of whoever's in the game, and just go with it. The only thing that I have on top of that to say is similar to the other, to the game. I believe it was the Kentucky game, I want to say, when Damian Pierce had 4 carries for 52 yards, averaging 10 yards a pop. I just say if somebody's got the hot hand, feed them a little more, throughout the game, because some running backs, they the more and more touches they get, the more and more lathered up they get. So I just want to see more of the hot hand. Go ahead,
Hey,
Moose.
Bobby, I completely agree with that because I feel like that hot hand as far as the running backs go on Saturday was Damian by far. I mean, there were 2 or 3 runs where I mean he was running mean, and
Mm-hmm.
he was running like a Georgia high a running back from the state of Georgia. He was running like a running back from the state of Georgia. You talk about mean, physical. That's how he was running Saturday. And me, I don't understand why you don't go with the hot hand there. Um, Mullen's got his reasons. But I completely agree. Some games you got to feed the hot hand.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. You got to continue to do that.
You know,
I love Mullen, but if he doesn't make staff changes by the end of the year, at the end of the season, we're not gonna go anywhere, and we're not gonna. He's got to
Okay.
bring in better coaches. He's got to bring in better.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So let's talk about the future of Florida football and where do we go from here? And let's talk about some inside details of things that people are not realizing of all the different aspects of what goes into coaching changes, chemistry, players, recruiting, all of that. And Darryl, I'm gonna start with you with this question because I feel like we've talked about this quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, I'm a very conservative person when it comes to firing coaches. And when you fire a coach, you're saying that for the next 3 to 4 years, you're rebuilding. I mean, and that's what we do whenever we fire McElwain, whenever we fired Muschamp. You're saying the next 3 to 4 years we're rebuilding. So if you're willing to live with that as a fan, okay, let's take away Dan Mullen having a rough season this year. Dan Mullen's also taken us to 3 New Year's Six bowl games, which he's won 2 of them. He lost one of them, but he also lost
Maybe
2,000 yards of NFL talent. So Dan Mullen is a good coach. Do I
a good
say that we
coach.
just
I don't mean to cut you off, Darryl, but a good coach doesn't take a 4-7 team and win 10 games the next year.
no, he doesn't. But what I'm saying is Dan Mullen has taken Florida to the next step. Are we winning championships yet? No, of course we're not. But Dan Mullen has taken Florida to the next level as far as offensively, and I'm not on the bandwagon of getting rid of him yet. Does he need to make offensive changes or defensive changes? Yes, he does need to make some staff changes. We know we need to get rid of the defensive coordinator. We do know that he needs to make some big decisions on whether or not he's a good recruiter or not. So he needs to hire some people that can recruit. You have a $92 million facility being built at the University of Florida. You have a 2020 year where we hardly made any money across Gator sports, period. You have a coach that's making $7.6 million, and his buyout is $12 million. I mean, and his extension is through 2026 or 2027. Sorry, 2027. So Dan Mullen's not going anywhere, guys. I hate to tell you that he's not going anywhere. The money is not there. I don't. Yes, we're the University of Florida, but you're not going to spend $100 million on facilities and coaching and these things and get rid of this guy. This guy is winning big games. He lost the last big bowl game, but he also lost a lot of NFL talent in that game. And some of that's just what we're going to have to live with as far as college football fans. The new era is here. Kids aren't going to play in these big bowl games when they're making $600,000 already. They're just not. So, and especially when they know they're going to make Kyle Pitts is going to make NFL money, he's not going to play in these games. So, compare to this year, compare to the last 4 years, and then you think back 10 years prior to that. Dan Mullen has taken this program to the next step. Does he need to take another step? Of course he does. He needs to go win a national championship. He needs to go compete for an SEC championship,
Mm-hmm.
which he did last year. Last year, he competed for an SEC championship. We didn't have a defense to stop them. We had a defense that threw a shoe, which cost us an LSU game. We had a defense that cost us a game in Texas A&M. It's not
Let's say
Dan Mullen.
if Marco
It's,
doesn't Marco. It was so basically what you're saying. If Michael Wilson doesn't Michael Wilson, are they 11-1?
You were 11-1, and we probably would have competed against Alabama better. We can put up points. Dan Mullen is putting up points comparable to the Steve Spurrier era. He is putting up points. He's got to get him a staff around him to get that defensive side firmed up a little bit, and he's got to get some staff around him to recruit better because he's not a recruiter. We all know that. We all know he's not a recruiter. But
Tim Bruce.
okay, so if he knows that, then he needs to go find those people. But Dan's not going anywhere. The money's not there, people. I mean, unless I don't look, I'm a booster, but I don't have $100 million on my credit card here. I mean, I wish I
Right.
did. If I had $100 million, I'd go, hey, guys, go get rid of Dan Mullen and go hire a coach.
And see, those are the things that that are a big change. Like, okay, so you get rid of Todd Grantham and the defensive coordinator and some other coaching staff. So now that you've done that, now you know that next year is going to be a rebuilding season on the defense because you're going to lose recruits. You're going to have these new coaches mesh with the players, and you're going to have chemistry. Well, so we know that if Dan Mullen has another crap season like he's had this year, then you know that he's going to be on a hot seat next year and possibly gone.
Of course,
But
if he doesn't make the right decisions, Bobby.
if he don't make the right decisions, but what do you consider a successful season for Dan Mullen next year to get a 2023 season?
Next year, Dan Mullen needs to compete for at least an SEC championship game. He needs to be in the conversation for that. And he can be. He can be. The Georgia game, we scored 7 points. We also played the number one historical defense in the country in the last 10 years. The last 10 years, we weren't going to go score a bunch of points on these guys.
No.
All right? It just wasn't going to happen. So this is a historical defense. Even Alabama has not compared to these defenses that we just went and played. So, but Dan Mullen has to be in the conversation for these games, and I think he will be next year. He will be, but he's got to get the defense.
Hey guys, let me ask you. In a way, don't you feel like I kind of feel like with Dan rolling with AR-15 in the Georgia game, and me personally, if AR-15's healthy, me personally, I think he's gonna roll with AR-15 the rest of the way. I kind of feel like he's already kind of getting. He's trying to get a step ahead of the 8 ball going into next year.
Yeah. So look, we already know who we got to beat. Sorry, go ahead, Louis.
Right.
That's what I've been saying, Moose. I think you play him the rest of the year, let him go through his lumps, take your 8-4 record, win a bowl game, go get to 9 wins, and call it a rebuilding year and move on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Go ahead, Darryl.
This was a rebuilding year regardless. We were changing from a pro-style offense to a Dan Mullen running offense. This was a rebuilding year. Last year, we should have been in the playoffs. With a defense, we would have been in the playoffs last year, guys. Okay?
Right.
So, defense is a problem. That's got to change. We all agree on it.
We would have won the SEC, and I would have had a great birthday present. But
Dan Mullen is scoring points on these guys. He's got to get him a defense around him. But listen, who's the two teams we got to beat? Who are they?
Alabama and Georgia.
Alabama and Georgia. You got to win those 2 games next year. Those are 2 critical games. You got to go beat Georgia and Jacksonville, and you got to go beat Alabama and Atlanta. You got to. And if Dan Mullen can do that, I think your measuring stick is a lot higher. Is the fan expectations? Of course. The fans are freaking crazy. You don't think that I don't want us to go win a national championship every year? Of course we do. Of course we do.
I didn't one.
But guess what? Out of 100 and something teams, there's only one that gets to go. There's only one that gets to win. So the expectations are really a little too high. Steve Spurrier was great. Oh shoot.
Urban.
Urban Meyer's great coach. But guess who Urban Meyer's had? Guess who Urban Meyer's had to win those 2 national championships?
Yeah.
Give me a name.
Yeah. You look at Urban's staff. You had Charlie. You had Mullen. You had Steve Adazio. You had Marshall. You had who was our defensive line coach, man? Mean guy too. Yeah, Mickey. Coach Mickey was strength coach, man. He's one of the best in the country, by the way. Yeah, but one thing I remember about Meyer, and I think I don't know if it was Spikes or Ahmad Black had said something. They always mention how their practices were tougher than their games on Saturdays. Yeah. I don't know if that's been going on right now at the University of Florida, but they always talked about practices being so much. They called it Bloody Tuesday, I think it was, man. Every Tuesday, man. That was basically separation week, and that was in practice, guys. That's why they went out Saturday. Listen, man, they had fun. They balled out. They said practices were so much tougher than games.
But
No, go ahead.
But this is
Urban,
what we've all talked about, and Darryl's alluded to this, several times, and about recruiting. We can't forget who we had. Yes, Spurrier was great at at the recruiting and getting the players, and because Spurrier had an offense where offensive players wanted to come play for the University of Florida because it was the lights out. It was an air show, and then after Steve Spurrier, we got an elite recruiter. Ron Zook was an elite recruiter, and a lot of people, forget about that. Yeah, he might not have been able to win the big games, but he definitely was able to recruit. And some of those players that were on the Meyer team, that they were from Ron Zook.
yeah.
Right.
So
20, I don't mean to cut you off, Bobby, but 22 of the 24 starters on the 06 National Championship team were recruited by Ron Zook.
yeah, no, 100%. Ron Zook recruited those guys because he was a elite recruiter. But at the end of the day, Urban Myers surrounded himself with coaches who could recruit and win football games, including Dan Mullen, who was our offensive coordinator at the time. He made those players successful. Dan Mullen can do that. He can do that, but he's got to get the defensive side secured. You can't score 42 points and go lose to 52 points to freaking Alabama or 50-something points to Alabama. You can't do that.
In the SEC, it's not going to cut it. In the Pac-12, that might be able to cut it, but we're not
Hey,
there.
going back on the Mullen deal that you has Darryl, Bobby, I'm with Darryl on that. It's like, I'm on Twitter, man. I'm seeing these people, saying fire Mullen. Well, my question is, who do you go get? Who do you go get right now? And I get it. I hear the Fickles of the world. I hear the who's the guy at dang Michigan State, Mel Tuckers of the world. And I get that. I understand it, man. That's us as passionate fans. We have high expectations for our program. I do feel like Mullen has to address the issues with his football team right now. Recruiting is a huge issue. That's something that disappointed me earlier in his press conference when he kind of, I think it was, who was it, David Walters?
David asked the question.
Yeah, it's like he brushed it off, man. And to me, it wasn't a good look for Mullen, especially after Kirby, what he said after the game Saturday night when he went on roughly a 90-second spree about recruiting, man. You live and die by recruiting. You look at it in the state of Georgia, and listen, I love Florida. Obviously I'm a Gator fan. High school football in the state of Georgia is great too. It's really good. And from what I hear, Kirby's at high school football games. He's flying in helicopters almost every single week. Recruiting is he talks about it, man. He spends so much time away from his family. He sacrifices family time for recruiting. And I don't know. I hope Mullen can build a staff that that has that same passion for it.
I agree. I totally agree with that. Recruiting is an issue that's got to get taken care of.
But I don't know about firing Dan Mullen. That solves anything because one, if you do fire the guy, who in the right mind would want to take the Florida job? Because it's almost like, hey, if you don't do anything in 3 or 4 years, you're out the door. We've done it 3 times in a row, man. If Mullen were to get canned, and it's like, who do you go get? You want to stand in? Do you want to get in that fire right now? Where Mullins won what? Oh, he's been to 3 New Year's Six bowl games in a row. He's having a bet. Look at the talent we had, and then you fired a guy. I'm not on that, but he does have to improve. He has to improve staffing and recruiting tremendously.
Nope.
Georgia spends close to $4 million a year. They're number 1 in recruiting. Okay, Florida's 14th right now in recruiting on spending. But Florida does have a $92 million football facility that they're building right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think that the revenue does get greater? Yes, I do. I do think that the revenue gets greater towards recruiting. And Dan even hinted towards that, not this press conference, but the one before. He hinted to the issue of that the spending for recruiting may be an issue. Go watch the press conference before the Georgia game. Go watch that. He hinted to the issue. He knows that there's an issue at the budget with recruiting. He knows that. And there is an issue there because we're not competing in the top 5. We're not even competing in the top 10
Right.
financially and recruiting.
No.
So that's part of the problem.
That's why I follow it, because
Yeah,
that's
that's
why
part of the
sometimes
problem.
I don't even know why I follow recruiting sometimes. But
We've got to we got to spend some more money in recruiting, but it ain't going to happen when you're spending almost $100 million on upgrades. So
Right.
there's only so much money
can
to
we
go
put
around.
another thing? Can we
I
put
just recall. I recall a time when when Urban was, you know, when Urban was the head coach of Florida. I recall a time nobody you could count. You can. I mean, Florida's so big. Ba- People get ball players in Florida.
Yeah,
But nobody was coming in when Urban was coach. Nobody was coming in and snagging 5 stars out of Florida
but
on
you
a
know
consistent
what?
basis.
Urban was also. I'm curious because I have not done the numbers, but I wonder what Florida was spending in 2006 and 2008 for recruiting.
I don't
I
know.
wonder.
Yeah,
I wonder what
that's a good question, girl.
we need
I
to
don't
look that
know.
up. We need to look that up because I guarantee you it was a lot more than what we are now, and there's an issue there. We know there's an issue there. I mean, as a Florida fan base, we know there's an issue. But I'm not on the bandwagon of getting rid of Dan. I do think that he's got to make some critical changes. He's
I
got to make some
absolutely agree.
critical changes. And and
So
Abs-
and I'm not saying that Dan's not going to be fired before 2026, but he's got to make the changes. He's got to make the head coaching changes and fix this program and get the recruits and get a defense that's going to stop them.
yeah. And the bottom line, us as fans, man, and I can relate to this because I had a brother. Listen, man, I had a brother that played pro ball. I got a cousin that plays the University of Florida on the baseball team. All right,
Hey,
Sterling.
so somebody asked
All right.
about the money being spent, and I will give you the facts on the money being spent right now. It's exactly $92 million on a standalone football facility. Standalone football facility at the University of Florida. I've been to Alabama. I've been to their home games. I've actually been to a Georgia game. I've been to a lot of these bigger states. I've been to LSU game. Florida is going to have a top-notch standalone football facility. It's the only program other than Texas and Oregon who are going to house their entire football program. No one else is comparable. Florida is going to be on the top notch of this when it's done at the end of this year before next year starts. Before next year starts. $92 million. You're paying a coach 7.6 million, a buyout of 12 million, and his extension is through the 2027. I mean, you're just not going to fire him anytime soon. It ain't going to be this year, and it probably won't be next year. Dan Mullen's going to have a little bit more time than that.
right, and that's why I was asking the question. If you know changes are coming this year, and you know you're going to have a probably a brand new defensive coordinator, probably brand new defensive coaching staff, and probably some recruits are going to fall off. Some are going to come on, depending on who we get and all of that. But that's why I was asking the question of
Okay.
what is a successful season for Florida next year with a new defense, because we know chemistry is a big part of of a defense, because
Hey,
you don't just come in and say, well, we got a new coordinator, and y'all just got to learn his system, and we're not going to fall off. We're just going to get better.
so the next question there, Bobby, Georgia spends it's a little less than 4 million. It's a little less than 4 million, but it's right about $4 million on recruiting. We are 14th. We are ranked 14th in the nation, and we're under a million and a half. It's under a million and a half on recruiting. It's like 1.300,000. I don't know. It's we're 14th in the nation in recruiting on spending budget for recruiting. Now, some people say, well, that's because the University of Florida has their own aviation program and all that stuff. Yeah, that's probably a big part of it, but still, we're 14th compared to Georgia number one on spending and recruiting.
Right. I'll say one thing, man, and I hope all the Gator fans kind of can get behind me on this, guys. We're fans are frustrated, myself included. Um,
I think we're
But
all frustrated.
the negative words on the social media directed at certain players I've never been a fan of. I want it to stop. Unfortunately, I can't get it to stop because I can't speak for everyone. It's not a good look for
That's
fans,
why
for a
when I
program,
that's
for
when
follow
that's why
recruits.
if you follow me on Twitter, that's why I'm always tweet if I do tweet at players, it's always positive, not no negative shit.
Right,
And that's
right,
what
right,
we.
exactly.
That's a lot of what we need to forget. Or what we forget is these aren't professionals. These are college athletes. They're students. They have schoolwork. They do the football. They got a life. So we need to support them in a positive way, not be couch coaches and keyboard warriors. I'm seeing a lot of that.
Exactly.
That negativity that we should not have. Because as we've all alluded to, recruits are, we could have a recruit in this group, in our groups. I mean, our groups are growing pretty fast, and we just don't need it. I mean, there's plenty other groups that I'm not a part of where it's all the same thing that we're seeing in all these groups, and I try to keep the group to where it's it's positive and
That's
it's
right.
friendly, and it's okay to critique, but the straight bashing of players and coaches, from people who have never even probably played the game or whatever, it's uncalled for.
It is uncalled
Go
for.
ahead, Daryl.
Yeah, go ahead,
Okay,
Daryl.
look, I'm raising my hand because I'm about to go on a rant right now. I am so mad with our fan base dodging our players and our coaches. You can critique, like you said, you can critique all you want to, but on social media and these Facebook groups, you cannot do that. No, you have to support these players. You have to support them. You've got to. They are kids, man. They are
Right.
kids. 100%. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm so mad. I'm so mad. I will delete. I will delete and block anybody that is bashing some personal kid because of how they threw an interception and stuff. Because it is just not right. Look, I'm gonna tell you right now. Like you said, you can coach from your couch. You can sit on your couch and your recliner and call a play all day long and tell you who's gonna start. But at the end of the day, if you're going to go sit there and go get a signed autograph and hang it on your freaking wall and support the Gators because that's who you are, that's not a fan, man.
Right.
If you're going to hate
Absolutely.
them, if you're going to hate them, you better turn away that autograph. You better turn away that picture that you're going to take with that player
Mm,
because to
Absolutely.
me that's wrong.
preach it, preach it.
That's
Absolutely.
wrong, man. It's,
I
it's called two-face, man. The same fans that criticize those players would take a picture any day with Dan Mullen and would
Hmm.
shake his hand
Absolutely.
and pat him on the back. Good job, man. Good job. And would take an
Absolutely.
autograph from him every day. Would you not? Of course you would.
You're absolutely right.
And they sit there and criticize him because it's easy to do it on Facebook.
I
Yep.
understand
Easy
the
to
Gator
do it.
standard is high, and the Gator
It
standard
is high. What? You
it's
don't
up
think,
there.
Bobby? You were at the Georgia game, man. When we scored a touchdown, I'll post it in the group again. When we scored one touchdown, you seen me. I
The
was out
hype
there
was up.
waving the flag. I mean, look, I'm excited about Gator football, man. I'm passionate about it. I don't care if we're losing or not. I get
yeah.
it. I get it. But you've got to be passionate about it all the time. You got to be passionate about these kids all the time.
Hmm.
Right.
I love Gator football, man, and I
Mhm.
just can't stand it. I
Gator
can't stand it.
football supporting this team is in all kinds of weather whether they're winning, whether they're going undefeated or whether they're winning four
Exactly.
games.
Yep,
I
exactly.
said it earlier. You know why Mr. Two Bit started his chant? He was Mr. Two Bits was not a Florida fan, but he bought a ticket to the Florida game. Mr. Two Bits went to the Florida game, and the fans were booing the team because the team was horrible. I think we won like no games that year. It was like our worst season ever. His first time he went there, and he started that chant, and he got 100, 200, 1,000, eventually the whole stadium. He was doing that to get the and you know what? Do you know what that cheering did? It won us a national championship. It won us 3 national championships.
That's
We
right.
have got
That's
to
right.
keep cheering these Gators, man. You got to keep cheering them on. You can't boo these guys. You can't be like that. That ain't a real
Mhm.
fan. That ain't a real fan. That's a couch fan. That's what you're
Exactly.
doing.
Absolutely. Do
So
not
with
give
all of
up
that
on our
said,
guys, man. Do not give up
yeah.
on us.
And so with all of that said, and the great show we've had tonight, and thank you all for tuning in and posting your comments. It's much appreciated. We've gone over over the show of what we normally do, but it's been great conversation, and we're definitely going to be back at it again on Thursday night, talking about the South Carolina next game on the schedule for South Carolina, in Columbia. So that'll be a big game. Another SEC showdown. So we have a lot of questions that need to be answered, and I think regardless of where we go from here, we just need to get back on the winning ways, and that'll quiet a lot of things down, and we'll address some things in the off season, because as we alluded to earlier, the media with the press conference got shut down, and I think that's for a good reason, because I think the media would just cause more questions, and that would be a big distraction. So let's just not worry about all of that. Let's put one game one foot in front of the other. We know what the season, what it's been. We know some changes need to be made, but from here on out to the rest of the season, let's be positive. Let's support the Gators, and let's just keep your head up. Keep your head up. This is the University of Florida. We come here to win the big games, and I have a lot of faith in Dan Mullen and what the potential of this program and this team.
Bobby, what was I doing? Go ahead, Lucas. Go ahead.
To quote her numbers, you played to win the game.
Bobby, Florida-Georgia game, blown out game. After the game, what was I doing on the street to all the Florida fans and all the Georgia fans?
Keeping it positive. That's what we were doing.
We
were humbling. We were humble to the Georgia fans. Congratulations on the win. For the Florida fans, keep your head up, and next game, on the schedule. And the players got to look at it that way, and so do the fans.
Had my helmet, had the flag. Keep your head up. This is Gator country. We're Gators, man.
Yes, Moose. Did you have any final comments?
Yeah. Hey, like you guys said, man, let's keep supporting these guys. The main thing for Coach Mullen right now is keeping their team together. Unfortunately, a lot of their thoughts, things can be seen on social media. They see a lot of negativity. It's not going to improve anything. It's not going to improve nothing. Let's stay behind our guys, man. Hey, let's finish this year out strong, guys. I mean, listen, South Carolina is the next thing on our schedule, guys, and let's support these. Let's support these young men, man, because listen, at the end of the day, they chose to be Gators.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. They chose to be Gators, so let's be Gator fans right there with them.
Mm-hmm. You know what the head ball coach always says? The next game is always the most important.
Yep. The next game is always the most important, and right now we need to look ahead to South Carolina, and we need to get back to winning, because that's what Florida does.
Hey, that's the mind of a goldfish. Did we lose to Georgia? What are you talking about?
No, we just put that behind us and look ahead. Georgia's next year. But y'all know we say before we get out of here, if you ain't a Gator,
you must be Gator, baby.
That's it. That's right. Go Gators.
Go Gators.